Hey guys, this is Eric with Mediavine, and this is our Go For Teal video series. Today we want to do a little bit of a special one. I mean, not that special, but it's a re-recording of something I've already done, and that is ads and SEO. The last time I talked about this was at FinCon, and it was during a quick little lightning talk. So I want to make sure that this is a little more updated and a little more thorough. It's especially important right now because we've been getting questions from bloggers asking, how does Mediavine ads affect my SEO? It's really come into light because I guess recently a competitor of ours has made the claim that their ads are better for SEO. So today I want to dispute that and tell you why Mediavine ads have pretty much no impact on your SEO. So first off, why is this Eric guy qualified to talk about SEO? Funny story, that's actually my background. Since my high school internship back in the late 90s, I've been doing SEO. I've been doing SEO longer than I've been doing ads. In fact, Mediavine itself was first incorporated as iScribe Limited, or an SEO for hire company. So funny enough, before we were doing anything to do with ads, we were doing SEO. So after about a couple years of doing SEO for hire, we launched a site called The Hollywood Gossip using our SEO skills, certainly not our knowledge of celebrity gossip. And once The Hollywood Gossip was optimized for SEO, we were basically able to launch it into one of the largest entertainment sites on the internet using nothing but SEO. And the other reason I feel I'm pretty qualified is because I listen to Google. As silly as that sounds, that is where I get most of the information that I use in these videos and any blog posts I write. Just listen to Google. It's generally the advice I give for anything technical when it comes to SEO. Google gives us all of this information, yet a lot of time people like to try to use inferences and data to try to prove Google wrong, but generally when it comes to ranking in Google, there's no one better to listen to than Google. So pretty much every single blog post you'll ever see that I write or any advice I give you, there's always going to be a link of why this is the official Google response, and today is no different. So let's get down to the meat. So what the heck does SEO have to do with ads? So as I mentioned again, we run The Hollywood Gossip. What we've learned is that ads can actually kill your SEO. They can hurt your SEO. When we were running The Hollywood Gossip under a different ad management company, and we started loading up the site with ads in order to compensate for a lower RPM or performance at the time, we saw our traffic tanked by more than 50%. Literally, we made no other changes to The Hollywood Gossip other than building our ad technology and improving the page speed and user experience, and we saw that traffic recover, and now The Hollywood Gossip is bigger than ever. So basically those two things I just discussed are the only way in which SEO is impacted by ads, and that's your page speed and your user experience. Okay, let's go into those two in a little more detail. Those of you that have been following along with any of my blog posts or have listened to me talk about this for years now, I'm a little obsessed with page speed, so we're going to talk about that one first. So how can ads impact page speed? Very drastically. So I'm going to say something that you probably shouldn't say as a guy running an ad management company, but ads suck. Ads are each their own individual iframe or website. So if you have a company that's loading 10 ads at the same time as your website is loading, then that means you're now loading 11 websites in order to just load your one. The way I often like to look at these things is as if it's on a highway, right? And each thing that you're trying to load is a different car. Well, guess what? Because ads are their own website, they're not just loading one image like it may look like. They're loading a ton of resources, so they're putting a ton of cars on that highway. I'm going to keep coming back to that analogy. So let's say your ad management company says, don't worry about it, we use asynchronous ad loading technology. That's great. Mediavine does as well, and so does the entire internet. That's because Google made that a requirement in their ad server, Google Ad Manager, which is by far and away the most popular ad server. So pretty much everyone on the internet uses asynchronous. So what is asynchronous? Back to that highway analogy, it basically means you have now 5 lanes of traffic from which you can load all of those different resources. In the old world, it was synchronous. You had 1 lane. So all of your ads, everything that makes your website look like your website, your images, your content, your style sheets, your JavaScript, everything used to have to share 1 lane if you were running synchronous. And just one slow ad who came to a screeching halt would stop all of your website for loading. So think of it like a traffic jam. It's just one guy slammed on his brakes and there was no way to go around him. So that is really why synchronous doesn't work and we need asynchronous. So does that solve everything? Well, no, because you have probably still seen traffic jams on the highway, right, in a 5-lane road. And the reason why is because you still have a lot of congestion if you're loading your ads at the same time as your content. And there's no way for the website to know which is your content versus your ads in order to prioritize things. So they're all going to load at the same time. And again, as I keep saying, ads are extremely heavy. Ads are 200 times heavier than the average image or anything else on your site. So putting that extra traffic on that highway is going to incredibly slow down your site. So what do? Our job as your ad management company is to make those ads suck less, right? To make them load faster. So we use a couple techniques here. First, I wish we could solve ads being slow, but we can't. This is a programmatic world, which means ultimately those advertisements are being run by a third party. Even the partners we work with like Google, not all the ads are actually Google's ads, right? There's an ad agency or an advertisement from a third party that's running on your website that we have, in the end of the day, no control over. So we use a lot of tricks. I'm going to go over all of them now. First of which is lazy loading. I have entire videos on this and blog posts, but the concept of lazy loading is only loading the ad as it comes into view. So when that website first loads, we don't have to load all the ads because we use lazy loading. So we're going to load fewer ads, which means fewer cars on that highway. So that's great, right? Does that solve everything? Absolutely not, because again, we're loading, let's say, only 2 ads is still 3 times the amount of traffic. So there really has to be an even better solution. So one of which would be try to reduce the number of ads you have above the fold. And we do that here at Mediavine, right? We run as few ads as we can in the first screen view because that's really how you want to measure when a page is done loading. When is that first screen view done loading? That's the metrics that Google uses in any tool they recommend, PageSpeed Insights or webpagetest.org. So we want to get as many ads out of there as we can. Does that solve it? Still no, because at the end of the day, you need to have, what we're going to tell you now is our secret sauce, and that is optimize ads for mobile page speed. So the way I like to look at this is we built an express lane on top of that highway. What's going to end up happening now is your content rides on that express lane. There's not going to be a single ad that can block your content from loading until your content is fully done, which means for the first time ever, your website can completely load without being impacted at all by ads. And that is a Mediavine patent pending exclusive. Literally no one else has this. And why do we build these things? Because we're an SEO company that then built an ad management company. This is in our DNA. This is our background. This is how the Hollywood Gossip, one of the largest sites on the internet, gets its traffic. We can't destroy our SEO because we would destroy our own sites. So we're certainly not going to destroy your SEO. So that's an awesome feature. And we also have a version of that coming to desktop. As I keep mentioning, you have to reduce the number of ads above the fold first. And that's why we launch things like the scroll to play player. The scroll to play means now on desktop, you can move that autoplay video down below the fold and still have an autoplay-like experience. That was the first step. We're going to have a few other little things that we have to make tweaks to, and then we plan on launching a desktop version of, again, that optimized ads. So that's going to be exclusive to Mediavine. Literally no one can give you a faster loading site when you're running ads than Mediavine as of today. So pretty exciting. If you check the Hollywood Gossip, any of the pages on PageSpeed Insights, you're going to see a 90+ score, which is incredible. There's no other ad-supported site on the internet that's able to do that right now. So very exciting, and we love that feature. Encourage you to use it. But as I mentioned, there's another factor, right, that comes into account with ads, and that's user experience. So that one's a little bit tougher to measure, right? But user experience is mentioned multiple times by Google in their blog posts and in their starter guide. So, and you'll also hear a lot of SEOs commonly say that SEO follows user experience. So how do we define user experience? Since that cannot be done by just one person, we rely on what's called the Coalition for Better Ads, or the CBA. And guess what? Google is a member of it and uses the CBA to define what they consider a bad ad experience inside Google's Search Console. So maybe that's probably the best indication that we can ever have of what Google considers a good or bad user experience when it comes to ads. So a common thing we hear from, again, when people write in, being told by one of their friends or fellow ad management company that they run too many ads. So that's an interesting thing because, again, we should look at that objectively and not subjectively. And the CBA has actually done a study on how many ads you can run per site. And guess what? It has nothing to do with a physical number. It's interesting as that sounds. So let's say someone came to your page and said, oh my God, I can't believe you're running 10 ads. You know who knows how many ads you're running? That person, no one else. That's because they went through and counted them. That's not how people use a website, right? As you're scrolling through Facebook, never once have you reached the bottom of your feed and been like, I can't believe I just saw 14 ads. No, You just look at, was this a good or bad experience? And that's what the CPA is doing. They measure what's called the density, right? They want to see how much content there is to number of ads. And that is really what's going to define whether there were too many ads or not. And guess what? Mediavine, even at the maximum settings, and you choose those settings here, you will never violate CPA density rules. So you're never going to have a bad user experience as far as the CPA, and again, Google is a member of this. There's other bad ad experiences that we have definitely made sure were removed from anything to do with Mediavine. You can see things like auto-playing ads with sound. Things like that have all been eliminated because of these findings, which means there's no way in which Mediavine ads are causing a bad user experience. There's been some arguments again that auto-playing video at the top of posts was not a great experience. That's fine. Using scroll to play, you can now remove that. We can't think of another ad management company that is a member of the CBA and more dedicated to user experience. So as long as you're hitting those two, there's no way your ads are hurting your SEO. Are they helping your SEO? Certainly not. No ad company will ever be able to help your SEO, which is why we do as much as we can to educate you on SEO so that you can do it yourself. Because the only person that's going to eventually make your site rank better is you. The publisher is the only one. And the reason why, I can tell you all the technical things to do. Things like increasing your font size. That is an official Google recommendation and it's in their audit tool in Lighthouse. That's great, but that's not going to make you rank better at the end of the day. All these things can do is make sure you don't rank worse. The way you're going to rank is by having the best content on a subject, and only you can do that. I'd recommend you really take a listen to the Theory of Content podcast by Josh and Amber. I'll make sure we link to it in the blog post accompanying this. That podcast is going to talk a lot about the content side of SEO. The technical side, you can get all of that from our blog as we go into it, but again, that's not going to be what makes you rank. It's having the best content. That's what Google wants to deliver at the end of the day. The best user experience. That's why they care about page speed. That's why ads need to be done in a good user experience way, and that's what Mediavine does. So thank you guys. Please tune in next week for our next Go for Teal video, though I believe we have some holidays coming up, so it might be a little bit after. But thank you guys, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel.